Just want to check I'm in the right place. Yes, I think so. I'm trying something different other than Zoom today. I hope this question of the week finds you well. My name is Charli Wall, for those of you that don't know. Excuse me. And every week I answer a question of the week, or I try to answer a question of the week every week. And this week I got a question from a lady called Mercedes, and what she asked is this: how to get motivated when you feel demotivated to change, how to enjoy the moment and not be stuck in the past or the future. So, as always, I suspect that this kind of question will resonate with a fair few of you. Who else here feels demotivated to change? And who else here feels that they struggle to enjoy the moment without being stuck in the past or worried about the future? Yeah, maybe I'll ask that as a question. It's given me the option to ask that as a question. Who here feels demotivated to change? Let's see if that works. This is all new. It's a little bit of technology to me, but anyway, we'll see how we go. I like just seeing what happens here. So, demotivated to change. Well, what does that actually mean? Like, if you were to sort of pull that apart, what does feeling demotivated to change means? It feels like, to me, Mercedes, that there's a part of you that wants to change. There's a part of you that sees that change might be possible for you, but then it often feels too hard for people to take the necessary steps to change, and thus they then tell themselves a story that I can't do it, it won't work for me, and or slash I don't feel motivated. Now, it feels like what I often hear is some version of this: I know what I need to be doing, Charlie, I just can't do it. What's wrong with me? And when we have tried enough times to change something about us that we don't like, we're often doing it from the energy of I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, I need to fix this to be okay, whatever the this is. And sometimes that might take the form of body shape, it might take the form of hairstyles, partners, relationships, jobs, houses, places we live, all of that sort of stuff, without necessarily understanding that even if you did change those things on the outside, it doesn't actually work that way. Because I don't know how many times I've changed my life thinking that that would be the answer to my problems, but actually it came from something that was deeper inside me. And once I really saw that, things really did start to shift for me. So, unfortunately, what tends to happen is people don't understand neuroscience, the brain, and they have a loop of thinking and a belief system that tells them I'm not good enough and that's not possible for me. Like, that person over there who is achieving change is different from me in some way, as in I have a fault in my general personality or my being that means change is impossible. And so when we have this foundational belief that there's something very wrong with us, and we see that change appears to be possible for other people, we start kind of unconsciously producing management moves, which might look like kind of self-sabotaging things like getting frustrated with myself, or trying a new nutritional plan lasting a couple of days, and then eating something that we don't want to be eating that's on the plan, and then we go into our familiar ways of being with ourselves, i.e. I'm not good enough, I can't do this, this is too hard. And then over time that tends to cause what we experience as demotivation. Now, what happens is we then make that mean something about us, because we are the meaning-making machines of anything in our life, any thought, any experience. We are always looking through our own lens of how we view ourselves in the world. Now, change has been absolutely possible for me, but that is because I've been where you are, but I have made it my mission. I mean, luckily I work in the sort of professional, personal development world anyway, and have done for some 30 years. So my learning and seeking was always coming from a need to kind of fix myself, but I was looking through the same lens of there's something very wrong with me, but also because I wanted to add extra tools to my toolbox for my work with my clients. But what I realised after all that searching and seeking was that it ultimately came from me and my desire to learn enough that I was able to sit in the truth of what I was doing to myself innocently and unconsciously, because, and this piece is important, we have a nervous system that is made in utero. It's made at the same time as our skin in our mother's womb. And that nervous system is often programmed and primed to respond to stress because it's protecting us. Now, over time, if that system has been activated very many times because we've somehow learned that maybe life is a bit tough, or life can be traumatic, or you've experienced trauma in your life, and trauma again is subjective. It's completely down to the individual experiencing any event. But let's just say that is true for you, Mercedes, whether you know that or not. I certainly didn't know that until I really deeply learned about the wisdom in the body as well as the wisdom in the mind. Your nervous system, if it's been activated over and over and over again, will go into collapse, it will go into freeze, it will go into shutdown. And the way that then manifests in any human is that we tell ourselves we can't do it, and thus we feel demotivated. So understanding that this is probably happening because you're adrenally exhausted, you might feel hopeless, you might have a belief that you are broken and not good enough, you might have a belief that change is impossible for you, but you have neuroplasticity on your side, and you have a soul that is always driving you forwards. Like, we cannot go backwards. It's actually impossible to go backwards, even though people have a sense that that's what's happening to them. But it's always through the lens of, I knew it wouldn't work for me, there's something wrong with me. Now, this kind of ties us really nicely into the second part of your question, which is, how do I enjoy the moment and not be stuck in the past? So your language is telling me that you feel stuck. Your language is telling me, in your question, your language is telling me that you are replaying events from your past, and thus probably have had this activation over and over again, which is the past, but you're bringing it into the present, and thus your system is in shutdown and freeze, which is often looking like collapse, resignation, helplessness, low motivation, procrastination. But if you can understand and see it through that lens, it kind of creates a bit of a space for you to see there's nothing wrong with you. This is a nervous system that's been protecting you for all this time. that there's a misunderstanding in how you're creating your experience, firstly with your mind, but secondly with your body, because the body holds on to these emotional charges that you have experienced through your life, through your thoughts, through your experiences, and that these are incomplete, which leads to shutdown. Now, that feeling of stuckness is purely and simply because we replay these stories and we replay our fears, and then we might do behaviours that we don't, like our soul actually doesn't want to do, that we know on some deep level that we really don't want to do, but it feels like it's separate from us, this elusive change, this elusive, like, different way of being. But if I could just encourage you to lean into a sense of knowing that you're doing this, probably unconsciously, that feeling demotivated is just your experience of that freeze response, which puts people in kind of, lethargy states or learned helpless states, and feeling like often life is very tough and against us, which is what I felt for a very, very long time. And so if I were to sort of flip these questions round, you're feeling stuck because you're focusing in on the past, you're still attached to, there's something in your past that you're still attached to. You're projecting out into the future, which is your prediction of this same thing going on, and feeling stuck. That is neuroscience. So if you understand the brain and the ego only think in terms of the past and the future. The brain doesn't want to be present because it's trying to make sure you're safe and cared for, but it's not clever and it's not nuanced. The amygdala in your brain does remember every single thing, experience, feeling, emotion that you have ever experienced in your life. What that means is that it's going to try to prevent you from feeling that ever again. It will literally do everything it can to prevent you from feeling that pain. And so for a lot of us, when we go into these freeze states, it's because the amygdala has remembered that this is painful, so it keeps you in the known. So Mercedes, this is what's known to you, which is why it feels like it's stuck. But again, your language shows me that you're feeling stuck because you're very likely in the freeze response. And if you go back a couple of videos, I talk about this nervous system at great detail. It's about an hour long. It's on my podcast. It's down below in the group. It's on my YouTube. If you want the link, let me know, or I can just add it to the comments for those of you that are interested. But this work is something I discuss much more in depth in my circle community, and I'll be bringing some nervous system education on my retreat in October in Spain. So it's something I'm deeply passionate about, because once you understand that stuckness is just the freeze response and that it's something that you've been in for some time, and then you've got the kind of humanness of relating to a certain way of being in the world, and if life's tough and you found life difficult, then it's kind of our way of keeping it the same. But again, that's coming from the brain, not you. And neuroscience and all of the research around plasticity, neuroplasticity, neuroception, so you learn to feel how your body's responding in any moment. The clue is in how you feel. So if I feel stuck, it's because my nervous system is in freeze and I'm replaying old stories and thoughts and trauma probably, and beliefs, which are just thoughts carried through time. And most of that has been protecting you, and it might just be not working anymore, which is why you feel demotivated, because without this understanding, we'll internalize all of that and make it our fault and say, well, we're demotivated and that's why we can't do X, Y, Z. What we have to do is ask ourselves, what emotional game do I play with myself to keep me from the truth of my being? How do I innocently keep myself in this state where I feel stuck and powerless? And how is that serving me? Because there'll always be some sort of benefit to that. But you have to ask these questions very gently and tenderly, because most of us don't even realise that we're doing that and that it is coming from a protector part. We need to open up space to go into the unknown, and by doing that it would mean giving up your theory about yourself and giving up your current reality of feeling stuck. But most of us are still trying to keep safe, and so that nervous system is protecting us. Maybe you're not demotivated, Mercedes. Maybe you're just in a chronic state of freeze and shut down, and your body's been protecting you this whole time. Stressful thinking causes the stress response to be activated. There's huge wisdom in your being, in your body, in your mind. And maybe you have known that all along, but often we don't dare to think that we could be just as magical as everyone else. And you are, and you have got everything that you need to move through this. And believe me, I was in it for a good 45, 46 years. So I know it well. I'm very good friends with it. And I know what's possible when you open yourself up to your potential and possibility, and be open to the possibility that there is nothing wrong with you. But if I tell myself I'm demotivated, how do I feel? Shut down, sad. But that's coming from within, and it's not the truth. And you want to be willing to go into the unknown and be there and see what occurs. I hope you found that helpful. I'll be back next week with a question of the week. If you ever want to ask me a question of the week, please just send me a message. If you ever want to get coaching with me and you don't mind it going live on the group, send me a message. If you want to explore more deeply with me, come into my Circle membership, which is gorgeous, and we have a really wonderful exploration in there. That's women only. And I have a retreat coming up in October in Spain, where, of course, I go even deeper for 5 whole days. And we get deep into nature as well. It's a wonderful space. Lots of love this Friday. I hope wherever you are, you have got some sunshine and that you're enjoying it. And I will talk to you very soon.